Welcome back to the Ross Bolin podcast presented by Bolin Media. I am Ross Bolin, and that shouldn't shock you. The other night, I was laying in bed, considering my life, the state of the world, all the perfect pre-sleep ponderings to ensure I had a sufficient amount of anxiety, when it occurred to me that we should have stopped at electricity. Like once Benjamin Franklin got struck by lightning or whatever, we should have called it quits right there. We had gone as far as we needed to go. And I'm just including the light bulb and central air and heating as byproducts of electricity, so we'd still have those things too in my hypothetical, like refrigerators and shit. But the internet was a bridge too far. We flew too close to the sun, and now we're dealing with the consequences. And I know you're saying to yourself, Ross, you'd be out of a job if the internet didn't exist. And I understand that, and still stand by what I'm saying. I would sacrifice my own livelihood if it freed humanity from the vice grip the internet and technology currently have on our lives. We had it all when electricity was invented. Light bulbs to brighten our world, power to climate control our homes and keep our food fresh, and we didn't need more. But we just had to keep pushing, didn't we? Al Gore just had to invent the fucking internet, and look at us now. We're a mess. We're a fucking mess of dystopian dysfunction, squabbling over the most profoundly idiotic sentiments online, just wasting our time arguing with strangers and destroying our self-esteems by engaging in the never-ending toxic game of unfair comparison. We should have stopped at electricity, but we got greedy. We kept going. And now Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, and Tim Apple run our world as a result. When once, all you would have left behind are the memories your family holds dear and some inconsequential possessions, perhaps a briefcase filled with porno magazines. Now, you leave behind a digital footprint the size of Antarctica with enough evidence of how much you sucked to ensure every living relative that comes after you is disgusted by your past. It didn't have to be this way. But here we are, and here we'll stay. Because as far as the internet goes, we have certainly lost the battle, and momentum leads me to believe we will indeed lose the war. We should have stopped at electricity. Speaking of which, yesterday, Montana became the first U.S. state to ban the social media app known as TikTok. TikTok from Reuters. Montana will make it unlawful for Google and Apple's app stores to offer TikTok within the state, but will not impose any penalties on individuals using the app. The ban is to take effect January 1st, 2024, and is almost certain to face legal challenges, it says. TikTok issued a statement saying that the new law, quote, infringes on the First Amendment rights of the people of Montana by unlawfully banning TikTok, and said it will, quote, continue working to defend the rights of our users inside and outside of Montana. The app has become wildly popular with teens, it says, according to the Pew Research Center. 67% of U.S. teens aged 13 to 17 use TikTok, and 16% of all teens say they use the app almost constantly. First of all, I love that it was Montana that struck first here. If there's a state where I expect the people have a lot more fun outdoors and enjoying the scenery of nature, it would be Montana, where I'd expect them to be even more disgusted by teenagers, 16% of which are using this app almost constantly. What does that even entail? Almost constantly, like most of the time? Almost constantly implies that almost every waking hour is consumed by TikTok, which is, as someone who uses TikTok, it's not all that shocking. It's just that it's a scary way of almost constantly. It also reads, Montana, which has a population of just over 1 million people, said TikTok could face fines for each violation and additional fines of $10,000 per day if it violates the ban. And apparently, it is extremely unlikely that this ban in Montana actually holds up in court. And frankly, I don't even know who I'm rooting for at this point. TikTok is a massive part of our marketing department here at Bolin Media, but it is the most addictive social media platform to ever exist and perhaps the greatest time-wasting contraption ever concocted. It is inherently bad for humanity, as are many things we consume on a daily basis, and yet they remain perfectly legal. And I am usually of the mind that the human beings should govern themselves and make their own decisions regarding personal responsibility. But things have started to shift for me now that I've got kids. Like, I don't want my kids wasting their damn lives on TikTok. But the Ross Bolin podcast has 100,000 followers on TikTok, and Formula Bone, J-Bone's F1 brand, has 225,000 followers on TikTok. So I'm conflicted. The parent part of me wants it to die in a fire, and the more financially concerned part of me wants it to live a long and happy life. Only time will tell what will happen. Until then, follow us on TikTok at the Ross Bolin Podcast. As we've discussed, this May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and as such, I am encouraging everyone I know and everyone who listens to this show to give their own mental health a massive boost by trying therapy. I've been in therapy for over a decade and cannot more highly recommend it, but I understand it can be daunting getting started. Getting started is way less daunting with today's sponsor, Talkspace. They make connecting with a licensed therapist easy so you can stop setting aside your own mental well-being. Do you think seeing a therapist or psychiatrist would be helpful, but you don't have the time to actually find one and meet with them or afford them? Try Talkspace. By doing everything online, Talkspace has made getting the help you want easy, accessible, and affordable. At Talkspace.com, you can sign up online and get a personalized match with a provider that's right for you, typically within 48 hours. It's incredibly convenient to have virtual sessions with your licensed therapist from the comfort of your home. That is the way I do it. Talkspace can help with any specific challenges you might be facing. It's the #1 online therapy platform with licensed therapists in over 40 specialties, including anxiety, depression, substance abuse, relationship issues, and more. As a listener of the Ross Bolin podcast, you will get $100 off your first month with Talkspace when you go to Talkspace.com/RBP. To match with a licensed therapist today, go to Talkspace.com/RBP to get $100 off your first month and show your support for the show. That's Talkspace.com/RBP. As I said recently, I have begun writing regularly again, publishing a newsletter that you can sign up for so that it arrives directly to your email inbox by going to rossbolin.substack.com. Today, I want to share with you my most recent column in an effort to get you to sign up for my newsletter at rossbolin.substack.com. It is titled, Parenting is Humbling. Enjoy. My son is 3 months old. His name is RJ. We are in the process of transitioning him from a baby straitjacket, normally referred to as a swaddle, to Baby Merlin's magic sleep suit, which not only sounds completely insane, but makes him look like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man from the 1984 film Ghostbusters. This means his little arms and hands are free to do as they please during our bedtime routine, which presents a number of fun new challenges for yours truly. Historically, the little guy is a pretty good sleeper who rarely gives us much trouble when it comes to crashing. However, now that he's living the hands-free life, shit isn't so simple. He grabs at my hand, stares in awe, and smiles at his own paws, and takes great pleasure in fisting his face hole and creating a mitten of drool instead of falling asleep. A few days ago, when I was putting him down for his final nap of the day, things took an unfortunate turn so ghastly that I am still recovering mentally and emotionally. I got him into his sleep suit, causing him to resemble Randy in A Christmas Story when he's bundled up, and I began the rocking process. But RJ was positively uninterested in doing sleep. He squirmed, flailed, kicked and clawed. He squealed and giggled, then cried and sneezed. It was not going well. But I was resilient and maintained my determination. I am a dad now, and to be a good dad requires the heart of a lion. After doing violent battle with the boy for what felt like 2 hours but was probably 20 minutes, I finally got him to take his pacifier, his eyes got heavy, and he dozed off to dreamland. I felt the joy of victory spark one single endorphin in my brain. As he often does just after falling asleep, a sweet smile crept across his face, and all was right with the world. I often wonder what he's smiling about when this happens, and have to assume his mother's titties are the cause. Like father, like son. Next, it was time to execute the final step of the bedtime process, a step which every parent fears. The transfer from rocking chair to crib. You must be strong. You must be smooth. You must be steady. There is no room for error. If you wake the baby, the entire process must start over from the beginning. Everything depends on this. His final nap of the day is the one that sets me free to enjoy sports on TV, stream a stupid show, or simply collapse onto the couch and enjoy the sounds of silence because his mommy handles bedtime. It is imperative to my general sanity that this final nap goes smoothly. I had gotten him to sleep, and now the all-important transfer awaited. So I stood up from the chair ever so slowly, smoothly, steadily, and just as I took my first step toward his crib and my own personal freedom, my iPhone tumbled from the pocket of my shorts, bounced off the rocking chair's arm, and went crashing to the ground with a sound that somehow crescendoed until it was reminiscent of a bomb blast, setting off RJ's startle reflex and causing him to become wide awake again. I sighed, picked up my phone, and sat back down in the rocking chair. There are few things in this world I despise more than shorts with too shallow of pockets. Why the hell do those still exist in this day and age of cell phones? Who is the evil Bond villain son of a bitch still releasing these inadequate pockets to the public? I have many questions. One day, I hope to get answers. Alas, I began round 2 of rocking, and my mind wandered as I salivated over how to use my free time that night. Perhaps a relaxing shower. I could get a snack and eat it alone. Or maybe I'd attempt to create sexy time with my wife. The possibilities were endless. I giggled silently to myself over how ironic and stupid it was that my phone fell out of my pocket and woke up the baby after all that work. I thought to myself, what a silly little goose I am. After roughly 10 more minutes of rocking at the exact speed that causes his little head to bobble back and forth just so, he was out cold again. Pacifier hanging from his lips. Once more, I stood from the chair, took one very intentional and steady step toward the crib, then another, and then my fucking phone fell out of my fucking pocket again, crashed to the fucking floor, and woke up the baby. I wanted to scream, motherfucking stupid goddamn Steve Jobs phone, curse it! You may be asking, how did you not ensure your cellular phone was secure before the second time you stood, imbecile? That's a fair question if you've never had a newborn. Sleep comes infrequently for parents during the first several months of a baby's life, you judgmental twat. Our minds become sluggish and feeble. I am clearly no exception, bright and good-looking as I may be. Again, I sighed, picked up my phone, and sat back down, defeated, deflated, devoid of pride. Now at this point, I was obviously alert to the fact that my work getting the baby to sleep could be spoiled by technological disaster. Fool me twice, shame on you. Fool me, you can't get fooled again. So I jammed my phone into the side of the rocking chair between the arm and the ass cushion on which I sat. Then, for the third time, I repeated the process of getting sweet little RJ to sleep, my perfect little baby boy. Oh, how I love and adore him. He is a tiny angel sent down from heaven to bless my every waking minute with happiness. After another 10 minutes or so, he was once again slumbering peacefully. I looked down at my phone wedged between the cushion and the arm just to double check, and then began my treacherous ascent. Next, right as my buttocks freed itself from its seat, The chair rocked forward and catapulted my phone from its apparently not-so-secure spot. I had stood up too quickly. Dear God, please, no. I watched on, horrified, as the phone tumbled toward the ground in slow motion for a third time, ruining my life and causing such a clatter that RJ's hands and feet all jolted forward as his eyes shot open. Nothing will humble you more than parenting. For more columns from me, subscribe today at rossbolin.substack.com. Again, that's rossbolin.substack.com. Today's episode is also brought to you by Rocket Money. If you're like me and always looking to manage your budget better and save money, you need Rocket Money. Rocket Money, formerly known as Truebill, is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place. Over 80% of people have subscriptions they forgot about, like that streaming service you bought to watch just one show on, or that free trial that you never even used. Rocket Money will quickly and easily identify your subscriptions for you so you can stop paying for the ones you don't want. Rocket Money makes canceling subscriptions as easy as the click of a button. Simply find the subscription you don't want and press cancel, and Rocket Money will cancel it for you. No more long hold times with customer service or tedious emailing back and forth. Over 3 million people have used Rocket Money, saving the average person up to $720 a year. I cannot tell you how much money I have wasted on unwanted subscriptions over the years. At one point, I realized I'd still been paying for an annual Xbox Live subscription, and I had given my Xbox away 4 years prior. That's why Rocket Money exists, baby. Stop throwing your money away, cancel unwanted subscriptions, and manage your expenses the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/RBP. That's rocketmoney.com/RBP. One more time, rocketmoney.com/RBP. It's time for an insane headline of the day. Are you ready? Are you mentally prepared for this? Drake is selling his $88 million Beverly Hills estate. $88 million. Imagine having $88 million to drop on a home. It's a headline that just in and of itself, in the age of an entire generation of Americans struggling to be able to afford home prices, it's truly an insane headline of the day. From Hypebeast says, it appears that Toronto rapper Drake is ready to give up his Los Angeles safe haven. Recently, the Six God put his Beverly Hills estate up for sale just a year after paying top dollar for the property. The palatial estate in the mountains sits just under 25,000 square feet, 10 bedrooms, and 22 bathrooms. Sits on 19.75 acres. 22 bathrooms. It is absolutely guaranteed that there are at least 10 bathrooms in this house that he never stepped foot in. 22? What in the... That's like... It's almost like just for the flex. I got 22 bathrooms. But many of us will never have 2 bathrooms before we die. 22. I continue. It says, just last year, Drake purchased the property for $75 million, but it is now up for grabs for $88 million. Originally built in the late 1990s, the mansion is designed by some architect. By a team of architects, prolific architects, it says, at KAA Design Group for Guess co-founder Armand Marciano. The Tuscan-style home was then renovated to feature new contemporary spaces by English pop star Robbie Williams, who bought the estate for $33 million in 2015. Damn! He bought it for $33 million in 2015 and sold it to Drake last year for $75 million. That's over double the value. It's a hell of a come-up for owning a house for just 8 years. It says Williams and his wife later sold the property to Drake. The home itself has neutral interiors with highlights including a double-height foyer with a grand staircase, living room, and 2 fireplaces. I'm honestly shocked there are only 2 fireplaces. You got 22 bathrooms. I would have taken out at least 12 of those bathrooms and added some more fireplaces personally, but that's just me. Additionally, there is a wine cellar, gym, elevator, as well as a kitchen with dual islands. I also would have expected that there would be multiple kitchens, but I'm assuming the kitchen in question is the size of my entire house. It says the upstairs master features its own private view balcony and a salon-style bathroom. I don't know what that means. I assume it just means it's the size of a salon. It says, with a property of this size, the estate comes with a separate staff wing and guest house. Good God. It says, for outdoor entertainment, the estate comes with a full-size tennis court, a pool, and an outdoor kitchen, and a hidden orchard. And hidden is in quotes. And I don't know why. I assume just because they can't say it's like full-blown hidden, like you have to go and find it. It's so secretive that it's literally hidden because it's an orchard. You know, with a bird's eye view, I assume you could spot the orchard on the 19.75 acre property. But there is an outdoor kitchen, so there is more than one kitchen. That's fair. I assume the pool is also magnificent. I'm actually going to pull up the photos right now and look at them, which I recommend you do. Just type in Drake 88 million Beverly Hills estate, and it will pop up. And yes, it is as ridiculous as you would think. It's beautiful, frankly. I need to know how many times Drake even stepped foot in this place. Because I know he calls Toronto home, and sure, he spends a lot of time in LA, but like, he didn't own it for more than a year, right? Purchased it a year ago. He's flipping it for more than, $13 million more than he bought it? I imagine the previous owners are semi-pissed, right? Like, the dude bought the place just last year. He's selling it with a bunch of added value, and I wonder if he actually physically added any value, like with renovations, or if he just figures 13 milli is the added price of owning a home that Drake once occupied. Frankly, if I was Drake and I bought a $75 million house and then within a year decided, you know what, maybe this is a bit much. Maybe 22 bathrooms is a little bit too many for me and my son, who I assume are the only two people who live there. Maybe, let's say you even just make half of the bathrooms, 11 of them staff bathrooms only or something like that. You've still got 11 bathrooms for you and like a 5-year-old or however old his kid is. It just maybe, decided it was too much. I would, if I was him, add a massive increase to the price just based on the fact that I lived there alone. Sometimes I consider doing that with my own home. And I'm not Drake. I'm not even close to Drake. I'm a Z-list podcaster. But still, I'm like, if you want to live in my house, you got to pay a premium, which is unfortunate because the market has turned downward over the last year or two after spiking like crazy during the pandemic. And I'm not sure I could get anybody to actually commit to the podcaster premium I would place on this place. But see, I really wish somebody could tell me, like, did he even ever actually live there? 88 million, man. 88 million. What is his net worth? It has to be 500. I guess 250 million. That can't be accurate though, man. That can't be. There's no way his net worth is $250 million and he dropped 88 million on one house. Or 75 million, I guess, is what he paid, and 88 is what he's selling it for. But like, that's just wild. But that being said, it does also say his salary is 70 million a year. If he's bringing in 70 million a year, what's 1 year of salary on a house, And I have to imagine, my guess would be that he's got to be worth close to, like, in terms of brand value, holdings, real estate, his music catalog, I would guess he's probably worth closer to $500 million at this point, like somewhere just south of 500 million, if I had to guess. Like, that's the thing about these celebrity net worth websites. They don't actually fucking know. They're going off of just whatever. And he owns all kinds of shit now. He's got to deal with Nike, albeit the stuff he releases with Nike is largely garbage. That Nocta brand, I'm not a fan, but he has all kinds of brand relationships. I have a hard time believing he's only worth 250 million at this point. The dude is one of the most commercially successful musicians in the history of music and seems to be of at least a decent business mind. He has that crazy relationship with that gambling website Stake that he's always pushing. I'd have to guess he's making at least 10 million a year off of them alone. So I don't know. I'm just, I'm just questioning the accuracy of the $250 million net worth figure if he spent $75 million USD on one house in a city in which he does not even call home. It is not the 6, it is LA. So, I mean, it makes me wonder who will buy this. Like, there can't be that's the thing about buying a property valued at, north of 50 million, 75 million, 80 million dollars. It's not that big of a pool of people in the world who can afford that. It's not like, me listing my house in the entire city of Austin is like after it or whatever. Like, there's not that many people that have that kind of cash flow to pull off an $88 million 22 bathroom estate on 19.5 acres up against the mountains in California or whatever. Like, I wonder how easy it is to get rid of a place like that. The purchase that always comes to mind when it comes to these crazy celebrity houses is when 50 Cent famously bought Mike Tyson's former mansion. And this is back in like the MTV Cribs days. And 50 bought Mike Tyson's former mansion. And one of the massive rooms in this house was a straight up strip club. Like multi-stage, multi-pole strip club. And 50 Cent has since called it like the worst purchase he ever made, just because it was I think he paid like way more than its actual value, and the upkeep was insane. And that's the other thing about these homes that are like tens of millions of dollars. As they mentioned in this article, it has its own like guest quarters, guest house, staff quarters, whatever. You have to spend so much money every month. Like, the mortgage isn't even the thing that drags you down. It's the cost of living there. It's the landscaping fees. Like, we talk on this show about homeowners associations and how they blow, in some cases, like $150,000 a year on landscaping the neighborhood. The house is the size of a fucking neighborhood. The estate is the size of a neighborhood. Like, you'd be looking at blowing many, many, many tens of thousands of dollars a month on just maintenance. We talked recently on Patreon about like the joys and fears of home ownership. Like how when you buy a house, like, yes, it's awesome because the money you put into it every month and paying your mortgage is actually going toward ownership. It's like an investment versus renting when you're just like, you pay that rent check every month and that money is fucking gone. It's not your place. You don't own it. But the flip side is, when you own a house, things are constantly breaking. A toilet goes out. The air conditioner breaks, God forbid. The oven or the stove needs replacing or whatever. You're constantly having to spend more money. Imagine if you owned a house that was this fucking big with 22 toilets that could go out at any given moment or explode, sending feces and wrapper urine all over the place. Like, it's a whole nother ballgame. You have to be so stupid rich, and this is not even his primary residence. He built his primary residence in Toronto, and it is disturbingly badass. I have no idea how much that place costs, but he used it to make music videos during the COVID times in 2020 as the set, and it was sick, and that place looks fucking amazing. This was not even his primary residence, so you're talking about having to... I imagine that's why he's selling it already, because he's sick of looking at the financial statement being like, Jesus Christ, I'm burning crazy buku bucks every single month on a place I'm not even spending that much time in or enough time in to justify it. I don't care how wealthy you are. There's still a level of responsibility that you have to have. And it's crazy to me, man. That's like, it is just funny how celebrities, particularly in the A-list that maintain very high levels of success over many, 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 many years, like Drake has, they live in a completely different world than the regular peons like you and I down here at the bottom. He started here with us at the bottom, as he once said. But now he's here in an $88 million palatial mansion that he's looking to move. I'm excited to see who will buy it. I hope it's like Elon Musk or something. Just because that makes it even more interesting. Like, I feel like the lineage of a home like that, from Robbie Williams to Drake to like Elon it just starts to carry its own like mythology with it, you know, and such. Yeah, you know. That will do it for today's show. Please support our sponsors by hitting the links in the description of this episode and using our dedicated codes. That is how we pay the bills here at Bolin Media. You can find links to all of our sponsors for today's show in the description below. To check out our other shows, go to bolinmedia.com. If you are an F1 fan, we've got Jared's F1 show, Formula Bone, hosted by the one and only Jared J-Bone Borislow, which is obviously in full swing, covering all the latest F1 madness, including the race this weekend, which has been canceled and was canceled right after J-Bone put out his Grand Prix preview for the race. So it's a bummer in that regard, but also Jared has done a phenomenal job all season long and will do so for the remainder of the season as well, race or no race this weekend. So follow at Formula Bone on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. And most importantly, subscribe on youtube.com/@FormulaBone, where Jared has amassed over 100,000 YouTube subscribers now. youtube.com/@FormulaBone if you're an F1 fan. We've got Oysters, Clams, and Cockles. If you're watching Succession's final season on HBO, Oysters, Clams, and Cockles is your show. It's a companion podcast for every single episode of Succession that comes out this season. We have done 8 so far, discussing and digesting what we saw that Sunday night. It drops on Mondays. You can get Oysters, Clams, and Cockles wherever you get RBP, and subscribe on youtube.com/@Oysters, Clams, Cockles. If you're a Houston sports fan, check out my Houston sports podcast, Banging the Can, @Banging the Can on social media. And you can watch full episodes on youtube.com/@Banging the Can, as well as all the other places you find RBP. Hit bolinmedia.com/shop to grab yourself some RBP merch, like the Horny for Sunsets t-shirt that I often wear, or the Astroworld themed RBP hat that I have on top of my head as I speak. If you're listening to our show and you would rather be watching, go to youtube.com/@the Ross Bolin podcast, where every episode is available in full video, produced by none other than producer Kade Orris. And even if you're not interested in watching, honestly, it helps us out if you go subscribe on YouTube. Subscribe today, youtube.com/@the Bolin podcast. This episode of RBP is presented by Bolin Media, and video of today's episode was produced by Kade Orris. We'll be back next week. And if you need more between now and then, go to patreon.com/Ross Bolin podcast for ad-free, premium shit every single week. With this week's episode, Kade and I took hotline calls, as we often do. We also got some new music reviews from Kade, and we discussed our courtside celebrities that we would like to be able to sit with if we were going to an NBA playoff game at Crypto.com Arena. And what else? We talked about cartoon crushes, which cartoon characters we would F or marry or kill, and many other fun things. Patreon.com/Ross Bolin podcast. But we'll be back here on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen, or on YouTube if you're watching next week as well. Have a great weekend. Until next time, peace be with you, and also with you.